All right, it is time for another Wheel of Time video. This is part 2 of the video that I released last week. So if you didn't watch that one, go watch that first, because this is part 2. That was part 1. That's how things work. But yes, this is part 2 of me basically. Rewinding. A couple of weeks ago, I asked people in my Discord to help me compile a list of changes that were made in the adaptation from the Wheel of Time books to the Wheel of Time TV show for season 2. And I put them on a tier list, and it is, me ranking them from changes that I think are amazing to changes that I hate. And that's it. And it's all, it's all my opinion. Of course, this is purely subjective, which, sorry, occasionally people show up in my comments. I'm just like, hey, do you understand what the word opinion means? Opinion. Your opinion is your opinion. This is my opinion. This is not me. I never try to say that my opinion is fact. But anyway, so these are my thoughts on the rankings, and my opinions on these rankings are going to result in me talking spoilers in this particular video all the way to the very, very end of the Wheel of Time book series. So if you haven't finished the entire series, this is not a safe video for you. Sorry, but if you have, let's go.
Let's be nerdy with Let's Be Nerdy. Let's be nerdy with Let's Be Nerdy.
Okay. When finding a clip for this, I was like, I had to put a clip of Egwene being a Damane, but I don't want to watch it. So this is hard. Okay. This one I called The Horrors of the Damane. The show spending way more time with Egwene as a Damane than in the books. I've talked about this before again. Until very recently, like maybe in the last few years, if you had asked me about Egwene's time as a Damane and how many books it spanned, I would have told you that it expands at least 2, maybe 3 books, because in my mind it was huge. And then on a reread at a certain point, I was like, wait a minute, it's a couple of chapters in book 2. It's not that long. And I think that actually has an impact. It's one of the reasons why I think that a lot of the Reddit fans, don't give Egwene the grace that they give Rand. Like, Rand has all this trauma and blah, blah. She was imprisoned for approximately, depending on how you do the timing of the books, she was imprisoned for anywhere from 2 to 4 months as a Damane, being tortured and tormented, but it all happens off screen. And so this to me, it opened a window into something that was happening off screen in the books. And it's not that I think that Robert Jordan made an error in this, because the way he wrote it was enough that it horrified me to the point that I thought these few chapters in book 2 were taking place over the course of several books. That's how much of an impact it had on me. So I think that the way he wrote it was able to be interpreted that way. But I think that if you didn't want to, if you were predisposed to not like Egwene, you can skip over it and not notice how horrible it was. Whereas the show made it impossible to not notice. So I think this is an amazing change. Again, definitely above the Dark Friend Social Kid. Where am I going to put this one? Oh. Yeah, above Matt's story. I'm going to put it above Rand and Lanfear. That's where it's going to go there. So now I got to reorganize everything. Okay. This is another one where I was picking clips. I was like, I'm not picking the clip that probably would be the most indicative or will show her the most. But Ryma. Everything about Ryma. Fuck. This broke me. This came as a complete surprise. I did not expect Ryma to break me as much as she did. Everything about her was so good. Especially, a thing that I didn't think of, actually, until I was thinking about it for this list. Liandrin had been such a good teacher for, I had thought, like she was a better teacher for Nynaeve than any of the other Aes Sedai. The other Aes Sedai were not treating her as an individual. They were like, this is how everybody learns, so you're going to learn like this. And she wasn't able to learn that way because of her block, and Liandrin was the only one who was able to get her past her block. But Liandrin did it, basically, use your anger, like it was like a full-on use the dark side kind of thing. Ryma, when you meet Ryma, you're like, oh, wait, no. We thought Liandrin was good because she was an alternative. She was the only one trying something different. This is what Nynaeve needed. What the way Ryma teaches her is what Nynaeve needs. And that's it's like on the level of tragedy of what happens to Ryma. This is a very small level of tragedy, but it is a tragedy that the person that Nynaeve needs to help her break her block is gone. And it's even more of a tragedy because she's gone because of Nynaeve. She's gone because she succeeded in helping Nynaeve break her block for just a second. And then Nynaeve, because she can't do anything half-ass, is the reason that Ryma is gone. And that is a tragedy. Ryma is what an Aes Sedai should be. Like, I think she is going to be, in Nynaeve's mind, aspirational person. Like, she is what I want to be. She is the type of Aes Sedai I want to be, somebody who willingly sacrifices herself. Like, she went into that knowing that was going to be the end, I'm certain. And it just, oh my gosh, I'm giving myself goosebumps as I think about it and talk about it, because Ryma, freaking amazing change. Like, amazing. I am actually going to put her above Nynaeve's test. Just because I kind of see, like, she is obviously intertwined with Nynaeve. Having to do it this way is so frustrating. Okay, this one might be my most controversial one, like, as far as my particular opinion on this. Even though my opinion is so waffly, like, it's so wishy-washy. Okay, this is basically unaliving Renna, killing Renna. I am putting this on reserving judgment because I think that Egwene is doing a murder here. At the point that she kills Renna, Renna is not imprisoning her. Renna is imprisoned. She has the upper hand over Renna. And this is just revenge. It is just a revenge killing. And that is not a good motivation for killing somebody. Not that, there's very few good motivations for killing people, but revenge is not one. Renna is despicable. I do not mourn her death. And I don't think this makes a difference in the story at all. Renna does die at some point in the story, but not here. So I'm not mourning Renna's death. What I am mourning when I see this is Egwene. Like, I legit think that this was part of Ishi's plan, was to put Egwene in a situation that would turn her dark. This is Egwene doing something really, really dark. This is Ishi succeeding. Which, yeah, that's bad. I put this on my reserving judgment list because I don't know where they're going to go with it. They could just have it be nothing, right? Like, she killed her and we all hate Renna, so we don't care. I've watched shows where that happens, where a character does something really, really weird or bad or dark, but it's something that to a bad person, so nobody cares about it, and we never address it again. I've seen that happen. But I kind of don't want them to do that because that's a murder. She did a murder, and I kind of want us to deal with that. So I am definitely putting that on my reserving judgment list. I'm going to put that on my top of reserving judgment list because I very much want them to explore the consequences of that. Like, I definitely think the show is going to explore the consequences of her trauma, of being, like, basically suffering as a Damane. Like, I think we're definitely going to explore that. The trauma of having done a murder, I want that explored. Plus, there's also just in the books, Nynaeve puts a collar on Renna, and Renna is found alive and collared. In the show, after she's dead, those collars are going to come off. People are just going to find a dead Renna. It's not going to expose the Seanchan in the way that the disposing of Renna did in the books. Loyal is Dakavale in the books, or in the show, I should say. This does not happen in the books at all. I don't think this makes a difference in the story, to be honest. Like, it didn't change the narrative of the story, and it still ended up where it was, and it doesn't change our perception of Loyal. We still love him. It doesn't change our perception of Suroth. We still hate her. Like, it doesn't change or impact anything out there. But I kind of like it because everybody forgets that the Dakavale are slaves too. Like, when people talk about the slavery of the Seanchan, everybody, and rightly so, thinks about the Damane because what they go through is so horrific. But even though we do meet people who were held as Dakavale, like Amathera, and we definitely know that it was very, very bad. Whatever happened to her was horrifying. It is not given nearly enough focus. So there are people I have encountered who are like, well, the Seanchan aren't all that bad. If you can't channel, you'll be fine. No, Anybody can be made Dakavale. Anybody. And it is horrifying. Even apparently in the show, an Ogier. Now that's different from the books. In the books, Ogier can't be owned, but yeah. Another thing a person noted in when they were making this list for me, they said it makes sense actually that the Seanchan would watch tree singing for entertainment. I don't know that that's true. The Seanchan definitely have a relationship in Seanchan, like on the continent of Seanchan, with the Ogier. I don't know that they would necessarily be interacting with them while tree singing. It does seem like something that they would want to. Like the Seanchan are just so extra. They love appearance and that sort of thing. So I could see it being part of their culture. I don't know that it necessarily would be in book canon, but it's possible. It's possible. So yeah, no difference, but positive for me, just because I want people to remember that the Dakavale are a thing. And I'll put it above the shrine. I don't know. I don't really care about these ones that much, hence the no difference. Okay, Liandrin being the one to have this scene with Nynaeve. In the books, this particular scene is Swan. Like, there are even, like, lines taken directly from the book that Liandrin says here that are actually swans, which is interesting. Putting Swan's words in Liandrin's mouth. That's so interesting. Wow. Oh, I didn't think of that until just now. That is interesting. But okay. I thought this was a great way to have this scene. It worked really, really well. And again, part of that is Liandrin being the one to get out Nynaeve's anger, and in contrast with Ryma being the one to get out Nynaeve's desire to help. Those are two things that work for Nynaeve, often hand in hand, actually. Nynaeve will want to help, and then in order to access the power, will make herself angry that she can't help, or angry about what needs to be helped. Like, there's one of my favorite scenes is her, one of my favorite Nynaeve moments is her seeing an Aiel who's been wounded and she can't channel until she starts like getting really, really angry, like making herself angry about people hurting each other. And then suddenly she can heal. So that works in tandem. I just thought this was a good change. It's not fantastic, but it worked really well for me. So there it goes on the good list. I'm going to organize them after. Trying to do that now. It takes so much time. But yeah, that goes on the good list. Min and Mat being friends. In the books, I literally am struggling to remember how much they interact. I don't think they interact very much. This is obviously a big change. Like, everything to do with Mat is going to be a big change because of how much they had to pull his story back to where he needed to be at the end of the season because of what happened with Barney Harris. So everything is a big change. Having him interact with Min, as I said, I think part of this was to give Min an introduction and give her something completely outside of Rand. And I think this worked really well. Yeah, and I think they actually go well together. Like, they match. It's just, they fit well together as friends. I don't know. I liked it. So I'm going to put this one here in good change. Like I said, I think part of what, you are limited in the season with what you can do, with how much time you have. So basically, we had to spend time with Mat to get him here. Min is an important character, so putting her with Mat gave her a reason to be there. She could have been with, I suppose, with Nynaeve and Elaine, like she was in book 2, I suppose. But we needed somebody for Mat to interact with. And again, I suppose that could have been Tom. Like, that, it could have been. Like, these are changes. But that's the reason why it's not necessarily going in an amazing change for me. Because there are other ways that this could have been done. But to me, this worked. It just worked well. Rand doesn't fight a Blade Master. He instead Indiana Joneses them with the power. Yeah, this makes perfect sense. I kept waiting in season 2 for us to get a sword training montage. I was really worried, actually, after seeing the first couple of episodes, that they were going to have like his conversations with, what's his name? The man in the mental facility, whatever his name is, the Kyrian soldier, whatever. He talked to him about sword forms. I was worried that was going to be it, and then we were going to get a big battle at the end. I was like, that doesn't track. Like, we need to see him being good at fighting with the sword for this battle to make any sense. But they just didn't have the battle. And yeah, people who watched the show thought this was awesome. Like, who never hadn't read the books. My sister was blown away by this moment. in the books, she was not necessarily, like, she read book 2. The sword fight at the end didn't impress her the way him using the power did. Because he's the dragon. That's what he needs to be knowing how to do. Being able to know how to use a sword. It's really cool in the books, partially because of it's how he bonds with Lan. But this worked. So yeah, that's for me going up on a good change. Again, one of the reasons I think it's a good change, instead of just like neutral, but it works for me, is that in order to have the sword battle, we would have needed to spend time watching him train with the sword. We would have needed a significant amount of time, probably over a course of a couple of episodes, so we could see his progress, right? And that takes time away from other things that are way more important to the story. So yeah, good change. Okay, sad moment. This one is Perrin's eyes turning yellow in reaction to what happened with Hopper. In the books, Perrin's eyes definitely turn yellow, and they turn yellow permanently, but we don't actually see the moment when it happens. We just know that they weren't yellow, and then after his imprisonment by the White Cloaks, they are yellow forever. So yeah, this is where we get to actually see it. Prior to this moment in the show, his eyes only turned yellow when communicating with wolves. So I guess this is it. His eyes are going to be yellow forever from now on. Okay. For me, okay. I don't really have strong feelings about this. So neutral. For me, okay. It doesn't matter to me. I kind of thought that his eyes were going to, I thought the show was going to have his eyes only turn yellow when he was communicating with wolves as a visual cue to us, because we're not going to hear the dialogue in their heads. So, there's a part of me that's like, okay, fine, I was wrong about that. But that's literally the extent of that. Okay, if his eyes are going to go yellow, this is as good a moment as any for them to go yellow. So good on you. Perrin actually killing Jeffrey Bornhold. In the books, Perrin, in the books, Dain Bornhold is aware that Perrin was, well, not even aware, he is fairly certain that Perrin was around in the vicinity of the place where his father died. That's the connection. This is way more explicit. Dain sees this. Dain sees this happen. This makes so much sense. I like this. This is a good change to me, because we've introduced Dain Bornhold. He knows who Perrin is. He knows where Perrin's from. He liked him. They were friendly, not necessarily friends. And then he literally watches him kill his father. Like this, I saw this and was like, oh, season 3, I see you. Like, I see exactly where this is going. Yeah, this is a good change. It's a good change. It's not mind-blowing, except in the way that I actually think it works better than the way it does in the books. Because in the books, I'm just constantly wanting to shake Bornhold and be like, dude, you kind of saw a guy who looked like Perrin in the area where your father died. Like, that doesn't make it. What are you doing that is making this connection in your brain? So this to me just works. Moiraine losing her powers. I talked a lot about this in my tier list for season 1. I talked about this a lot after season 1 because I was always fairly certain that she was shielded. I do think that this change was made specifically because Moiraine, especially in book 2, does not have a lot to do. She reads books and then shows up at the end. That's what she does. So yeah, this change made good sense to me. It didn't have as much of an impact as I expected it to. So I'm going to say it's a good change, but not amazing. I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest. I don't know where I thought it was going. I didn't really have any place in my brain that I thought what this was going to do. But I know that when it, as it all played out, I was like, oh, okay. Instead of like, whoa, that was, I am good with words instead of just making sounds. Sorry. But that's literally that expresses my feelings on that. So yeah, that one is going here in good change. Not mind-blowing, but it made sense. The Moiraine Lan fight. Now, I actually don't think this was as much of a change as other people maybe did, because they have a fight in the books, or not a fight basically, but she does push him in the book. She does do things specifically to upset him. And here she's doing the same thing. In the books, basically, she was testing the bounds of their relationship. In the show, she's literally trying to old yeller him. So like she's trying to get him to leave her so she doesn't have to hurt him. But I mean, not old yeller because she wasn't actually going to kill him, but whatever. Yeah, so their fight, to me, it's an equivalent of what happened in the books. It does get dragged out much longer, and I'm even using the word dragged out because I kept thinking, again, much like with her being shielded, that it was going to have more of an impact than it did. And it didn't. The emotional payoff of their rebonding moment on the beach there, I did love. Like, it actually brought tears to my eyes, and so for that, it was worth it, but the rest of it felt a little, I don't know, it felt like it was less than it could have been. And I don't know what I'm thinking that it could have been. So I'm going to put this at the bottom of good. Just there at the bottom of good. Oh, my page here is kind of coming off screen. But yeah, there it is. It's just, it's a fine change, I guess. I should have a fine on here, but I already have too many rankings, and 2 of them I'm not even using. So yeah, this is gonna go good to fine. That change to me was fine. Moiraine kills Lanfear. Kills Lanfear. I'm actually realizing I needed to put another thing on this list now as I talk about this. I think this is a very good change. I'll probably put this at the top of good because I think one of the things the show did really well is set up and mirror like Moiraine and Lanfear. They both wear a lot of blue. There are times where like we see Lanfear from behind and she just looks like Moiraine to me. And they're both like serving in these mentor roles to Rand and making them clear antagonists foretells or foreshadows something very significant for their stories having to do with each other in future seasons. I just think this worked out really well. The other thing I'm going to talk about that I realize I don't even have an icon for, but it probably would go an amazing change, is when I said killing Lanfear. We have Immortal Forsaken. Like, she comes right back. I think that was such a genius change, again, for the reasons I talked about before about the relationships. It raises the stakes. Also, when you have an actress who's embodying the role so well, you don't want to have to switch her out. You don't. It's going to be very, very hard for people to follow even. So, yeah, that's a really, really good change. This, I think, like killing Lanfear, having them be good antagonists, no, that's also an amazing change. Again, I like that because it makes what happens later have much more impact, I think. So I'm going to put this up here in amazing. And I know I said I was going to do this after, but I can't have that be above her. So I'll organize this later. But yes, amazing change. Okay, so we have Siuan and Moiraine's disagreement. And basically, Siuan suspecting for a moment that Moiraine may have turned to the dark or something. Now, okay, I wonder how many people who have not read the books realized what was happening here, because I know at least one. Like, I watched a review of this episode by a non-book reader who was very upset and thinking, like, why would Siuan at any point think that Moiraine betrayed her? She should know her better than that. And I had to be like, oh, I don't know that the show has conveyed why. Like, if Moiraine had told her that she was stilled, and then she walks up and she sees her channeling, that means Moiraine lied. And the only way Moiraine can lie is if she's a dark friend. Like, everything that she knows. So there's a moment here where she's thinking, what the fuck? Even, like, as much as she loves her and understands her, there's no, like, the evidence that she is seeing, but like, goes against everything she knows about Moiraine. So, of course, for a moment, she would worry and wonder. And so, yeah, I don't know. For that, I think I might have to bump this down on the list a bit, because I know at least one person, so one out of millions, I have no idea, I didn't quite understand that. This disagreement, to me, works well, again, setting up things that I know are coming. Basically, her trying to hold things to their original plan, and it's going to fall apart. And that, again, makes what happens next season, makes what I assume is going to happen to next season make a lot of sense. Again, in the books, in the books, like I'm rereading book 4, like listening to Rosamund's narration right now. And when that happens, when the coup happens, there's a part of me that goes, okay, I really want to know what the accusations against Siuan were specifically, because basically they're just like, you knew about something, like that, so you were doing something with the Dragon Reborn before you told us, which is vague. I even that, like, that's never said. It's never specifically said what it is that the Tower thinks Siuan did. Here, this is pretty clear. Like, this is pretty clear. She tried to she had the dragon. She tried to keep the dragon, and Moiraine took the dragon. And like with the Forsaken, I don't know if she's going to tell the Tower that Moiraine took the dragon with the Forsaken through the ways. Like, but it's pretty clear that this is Siuan failing to keep control of the dragon. That it leads so much. It's a much more direct line to what I assume is going to happen next season. And I think that works really, really well. So I'm going to put this up here in Amazing Change, just because I think it works really, really well. But I can't have it be there. So I probably should have consolidated these into one point here, but basically this was Siuan confronts a Forsaken, and I believe the term used in the Discord was, and is curb stomped. I probably could have put this all in one, because I do think it's part of the same thing. This is Siuan failing. Siuan failing at her plan. Now, her plan was not right. Like, we know, like those of us, I think even show watchers who've never read the books can say, like, what she was planning to do was not right. But what she was planning to do was their original plan, was to, okay, somebody needs to be, well, actually, no, it wasn't in the show, it wasn't their original plan. Their original plan was to have Siuan get the Tower on his side and Moiraine guide him out in the world. So, okay. But this is Siuan attempting to take the reins here. And it's the wrong tack. I think even show watchers know that Moraine's tack is the right plan here. But this is still Siuan failing to do what she thinks she needs to do in this moment. And what I'm certain the Tower is going to think that she needed to do in this moment. And again, I think this works, again, really, really well. Perfect through line to what we're going to see next season. So I'm putting it up here in Amazing Change. Again, moving the Dark Fan Social down to the bottom there. So I had no image for this. So I just found this old screenshot of a website that I don't even know if it exists anymore. Flickr. There was no Flickr, no portal stones. This, I understand. I miss it. I understand why there was it. It's very complex. You have to have like mirror worlds, and there's like a huge time jump that happens with that. Like in the books, I think they lose 4 months with Flickr. There's no mirror world. Like, we're not meeting Celine in a mirror world with other people. I understand. I actually, because I know where I'm going to put this one on my list. I don't miss the mirror worlds. I don't miss meeting Celine in the mirror world. I don't miss Huron. Sorry, Huron, I love you, but I don't miss you. But I do kind of miss Flickr. It's just such an iconic scene. I know we got like a taste of it with Matt. With the tea that he drank. But I miss it. So I am putting it in understand, but I don't like it. Like, I understand, I get it. I'm not going to complain about it, except for right now. It's a scene that I missed. All right. We also did not get an Ingtar reveal. Ingtar in the books is a dark friend he became a dark friend for good reasons, and then turned to the light at the end, and he sacrificed himself. And one of the scenes that, when I read the books, makes me cry every single time. Again, there's another one. Just looking over at my tier list here. I understand why this happened. Like, from what I understand, they actually filmed his reveal, but it did not fit in the show. Like, there just wasn't enough time for it. So I get it. I get why this happened. It's just another one of those moments that in the book, like, it's one of the scenes that I think of when I think of these books. And so I missed it. And so it is also one that I understand, but I don't like it. I just miss it. I miss that scene. It could all probably even go in no difference, negative, but I do specifically, I understand, they actually filmed it and it didn't end up in the show. So, okay, so picked this particular scene because this, like her dressing, Nynaeve dressing as a Sul'dam was obviously part of a plan to go in and rescue Egwene, and she didn't. This basically is Nynaeve not rescuing Egwene. Okay, I'm trying to think where I'm going to put this on the, I don't have a ranking for this. Sorry, I'm just looking right here. I don't know. Because, okay, my brain is split on this one. Nynaeve rescuing Egwene is one of my favorite moments for several reasons. Number one, it's one of the few times where the women are able to rescue themselves without, like, supervision. They just come up with a plan and they do it. And nobody, like, there's no Tom and no Julian, no Brigitte. Like, Brigitte is a woman, but, like, you know, these two girls did not need a keeper in this moment. They were able to do it in the books. Also, it is just a beautiful moment with Nynaeve comforting Egwene, Nynaeve meting out justice in a way that felt real and strong, and it's one of my favorite moments. However, I get why it didn't happen in the show, and like, okay, if I just said that, and then I get why. Okay, I have to finish all my thoughts. I get why it didn't happen in the show because I think they are bringing Nynaeve down low because I'm pretty sure she's going to have a spike in the next season. Like, we've introduced Spaghetti, and I think I know where we're going. So we need her to be low. I in the books, especially book 5 and book 6 are part of, like, Nynaeve is definitely on a downward spiral. She has a spike in book 4, and then she goes down in book 5, and, like, I'm talking about emotionally, not as far as who she, like, her power or whatever, but she has an emotional downturn. I think that that's what's happening here. And so I guess I have to put it in reserving judgment because I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing this woman who in season 1, she was like the ace in the hole. She was the person who would explode and save everything. And now we brought her down. And then next season, she's going to be amazing again at a certain point. And so if that happens, this is going to feel worth it to have seen her trying to help but not being able to, and then able to help again in the next season. So I think that's where it goes. But it's reserving judgment, but with a sense of excited anticipation that I have. Like, when I saw this, I wasn't disappointed at missing a scene in the books that I love. I was like, ooh, I see where they're going. That's the feeling that I had. So maybe anticipation is what I need to put on the tier list. I'm not going to add it, but that is the feeling that I have. So I'm going to put this at the top of, said I wasn't going to do this and then I'm totally doing it. But yeah, that's how I feel about that one. Okay. Nynaeve not healing. I have basically the same thoughts and emotions about this as I do about the previous one. But okay, when I was getting this clip, I had extra thoughts. So I use this clip because this shows Elaine doing the healing. And then when I was watching it, I just realized Nynaeve not being able to heal in this moment makes perfect sense for so many reasons. But one that I hadn't really thought of is she is seeing Mat and Rand. Like, Mat was lost to her. She thought Mat was gone. Like, she had no idea where he was. And now Rand is there, and she thought Rand was dead. She is stunned out of her mind in this moment. Like, look at the way she's looking at Mat. Like, I found you. And then she can't, like, she's just so stunned. She does, there's Rand. And like, why are you alive? Like, she doesn't know what to do in this moment. It's freaking her out. And, like, the arc that she's going on, man. Like, okay, she left the Two Rivers in order to protect the kids. The only one that she has access to or has had access to all of this time is Egwene. So she's basically been only able to protect Egwene, and Egwene ended up being made Damane specifically because of choices that Nynaeve made. Ryma got caught and collared because of something that Nynaeve did. Like, she has failed, and now she's seeing two of the kids who'd be like, oh, maybe I didn't fail everybody? Like, that's the feeling that she must be feeling, but, like, it's a lot. There's so many emotions going on in her brain at this moment that not being able to channel makes so much sense. So again, I'm going to put this one in reserving judgment, but the feeling that I actually want to put here is anticipation. It's anticipation. That's what I'm feeling. Rand seeking out Logain. This is a very, very big difference to the show from the books. I think it's smart. This is where I try to decide whether, like, obviously this is all my opinion. I'm trying to decide how objective I get versus my specific feeling. And I can't be objective, obviously, because this is all my opinion. but I'm trying to go with what my brain thinks versus what my emotions feel. Because Rand has never been my guy. Like, Rand has never been the character that I latched onto. Of the boys, probably number one, Perrin, number two, Matt, and then, like, Rand. But, like, Rand feels way more plot to me than character in the books. Logain is a character I don't really even like. Like, even before stuff that happens later on in the books that people probably think I'd latch on to. Like, I don't like him. He's a dude who found out he could channel and was like, okay, I'm gonna go prove that I'm the dragon and kill a bunch of people. Whereas, like, one of the reasons I like Rand, even though he's not my guy, is that even though he had everybody around him telling him he was the dragon, he was like, no, I have to prove it to myself first before I, like, do things that I know are going to cause wars and battles and people's death. I want to prove that. Whereas Logain was like, okay, I guess I'm the dragon and a bunch of people are going to die because of it. And, like, it's just, I find him arrogant and entitled. And so I don't like him. So but I know that Rafe loves Logain. And so, like, that might be a reason that he has a larger role in the show. I also think it makes sense for the narrative because I don't know, it works. But for me, I'm going to go with my emotions on this one. I feel completely neutral. I don't care. Like, it's one of those things of like, okay, that makes sense, but I am not dwelling on it or thinking about it at all. If I'm trying to be more objective, I'd probably say fine. Like, it might be a fine change, but I don't care about it. I'm sorry. Verin and Yasica's detective agency. This is one again, I'm gonna go with my emotions on this one. Because they're brown, like, the second we saw the Browns' living quarters, I got giddy the second I saw it, because, like, that's exactly, it looks like the place I want to be. It looks exactly like the home I wish I would have. It's where I would be in this world if I could pick any place to be. And Yasica is a delight. I love her. I love, like, this, like, them, like, heads together, putting a puzzle together, like, figuring it out. It feels so cozy and warm, and it makes no difference, really. Like, it definitely has, like, they're solving this mystery has impact in the story, but it could have been, like, Verin could have done this by herself. We didn't necessarily need Yasica, but I'm glad we had her, so I'm putting this one in neutral positive. I liked it. And you know what? I'm going to put it at the top of neutral positive because Yasica I love her. I love Yasica. Uno is Guidal Kane. Yay! Like, this is one of those changes. I think, okay. Ooh, okay. I'm just realizing I have two thoughts on this. Uno being Guidal Kane, like that specific canon change, I think is fine. It doesn't necessarily it doesn't harm the story, it doesn't hurt the story. That would be, like, no difference but positive. It's cool. But Uno being a hero of the Horn after having been killed in episode 3, I think that actually was a great change. I think it worked really, really well. First of all, in explaining part of the Heroes of the Horn, because we didn't get as much explanation of it in the show as we needed. And so, at least in my opinion, and having Uno there, it does a couple of things. So it explains, yeah, he was a hero. He did something heroic, and now he's showing up as a hero of the Horn. It also very much made it clear, because I know that there were some people who would have been confused. And I actually saw, I can't remember which reactors I saw do this, see all of the heroes come out and go, oh, those are Matt's past lives. And then see Uno and go, wait a minute, no. Oh, they are just heroes. They're heroes. And, like, that fixed that problem of the confusion of what that was. So the heroes are not Matt's past lives. They're separate heroes. And he is a hero like them. So that fixed that. So that I think is amazing. So, I'm going to put it in amazing, but that's the part that I'm putting amazing. Uno coming back as a hero of the Horn. Uno being Guidal Kane, I think is neat. But that's the feeling I have about it. Oh, that's neat. It's not like, ooh, that's amazing. But Uno being a hero of the Horn, amazing. So there we go. He's amazing. Definitely, again, above the Dark Friend. This is a social kid. Okay, Padan Fain. Padan Fain in the books is something more. He's a Dark Friend, but he's something more. He is able to kill a Fade. He has powers that other Dark Friends do not have. In the show, he seems to be a high-ranking dark friend, like he's directly talking with one of the Forsaken and even sort of, suggesting things to him. So he seems important, but he doesn't necessarily seem like he's anything special. I talked about this in, I think, my post-season 2 debrief, but this is, like, he was one of the reasons why I initially came up with reserving judgment on this, because I don't know what they're doing with him. To be fair to the show, I don't quite know what the books did with him either. I mean, I know what the books did with him either as too, but he, okay, spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. I'm putting this here. Spoiler warning for the end of the book series. Don't go further. Okay? 3, 2, 1, bye. Okay. He comes back basically as the embodiment of Mashadar, I guess. But he kind of disappears, and he doesn't go all the places that he could have gone. I find his ending in the books somewhat anticlimactic, given how cool, like evil, but evil cool he was throughout most of the book series. So I kind of, like, if the show follows his book trajectory, he'll be really, really awesome and then kind of disappear and fizzle out and then come back with, like, powers that we're like, what? Okay, I guess he's Fog now, I guess. I don't want that, because I don't want an unsatisfying end to him. So if they do that, I don't want, but if they change him and make him give him a satisfying end, then I think they need to be laying the ground for that now. And they're not really, but they also just could go the route of having him be just a regular dark friend who's somewhat high ranking. So he's like the dark friend that we know and recognize. And I guess that would be cool, because then we won't be dissatisfied at the end when he just shows up and, like, I'm Fog now. Okay. And, like, I don't know where they're going with him, but I also don't know where I want them to go with him. So I'm fully reserving judgment, but not in the way that I am for the Nynaeve stuff. It's just fully like, I don't know what they're doing. So I'm going to back off and wait and see. So yeah, reserving judgment. Okay. This one, I think on the list was spending more time with Turok. Basically seeing more of the Seanchan interacting with other Seanchan. I mostly feel neutral about this, but I also enjoy seeing, like, things like, it's the same feeling I have about the Forsaken Shrine. It just makes the world feel a bit more solid to see Seanchan interacting with each other without having to have their culture explained, because they're not going to explain it to each other. They just are existing like that. I don't know. I don't have strong feelings about it, but it's kind of cool. So I'm just going to put this no difference positive, I guess. I'm, like, so close to neutral with it. Like, it's just, I don't really care about it, but it's kind of cool. His costume, definitely cool. Rand's side wound. Rand's side wound he gets in the show in a completely different way than he does in the books. In the books, it is Ishi with, like, a staff stabbing him in the side after he basically opens himself. It's I forget the sword form, but he basically opens himself up to being stabbed in order to make a stab. So it's like he's sacrificing his body, not entirely, but in order to take out who he thinks at that moment is the Dark One. It's not, but he thinks it is. So it is a self-sacrifice moment. Whereas in this case, it's just an accident done by Matt. Now he's getting the dagger wound here. In the books, he gets a dagger wound and a staff wound, and they sort of intersect each other. So he's getting one half of it here, and it's done by Matt. It's very, very different. So what we are missing is him being willing to sacrifice in order to take out the Dark One. And we are missing a wound that can interact with a dagger wound. So we can still get a wound that can interact with a dagger wound later. That could absolutely happen, because that is part of what works to help him understand the taint. So, and how to cleanse the taint, or spoilers. Okay, I've already said it. So that's part of what works for him for that. I don't know what the show is going to do with that, so that's a fully reserving judgment thing here. So I guess that puts that in reserving judgment. This moment, though, like, this does lead to him, like, he literally falls to his knees here, and, like, part of his arc here was with Lan telling him like whatever comes, face it on your feet, and later on he does, like he gets up wounded, facing his greatest fear on his feet, and that is a wonderful moment, and I love that moment. The wound itself, because that's what this point is about, I suppose. I guess I am reserving judgment, but I'm not worried about it. Like, I don't know how technical the show is going to get with the taint and cleansing it. Like, I don't know how specific they will get with that. So I don't know, but I'll put it in reserving judgment. Yeah, I'll just put it here in reserving judgment because I don't really know where they're going with it. I liked the moment though. I liked the moment when it happened. So yeah. Okay, this one was Siuan detaining Rand. I actually didn't think this was a change, but it ended up on the list because it does happen in a different place. In the book, she does this. I mean, she doesn't do that. She doesn't use the power on him or anything. He doesn't also channel at her or whatever. But in the books, she does. Like, he tries to leave Faraldara, and she basically detains him. Makes it so he can't leave, and talks to him, tells him he's the Dragon Reborn. And yeah, so this is, to me, it's the same scene, just in a different context, or a different timeline, basically a different place in the timeline, and slightly heightened. There's more conflict in a scene, and if anything I learned from Ali from Wheel Takes is conflict makes scenes more interesting. So that putting that conflict with each other makes the scene have more impact, and to me this works. It's a change, but it actually didn't feel like a change when it happened. It just felt like a move. They moved a scene from here to another. So I like the scene. Sorry, again, looking over at my tier list. I like the scene, but I don't think it's a change. So neutral. Yeah, it's the same to me. So this one is the seals. Basically, one Forsaken per seal. So like that is she breaking Lanfear's seal, and that's how Lanfear gets escaped. We saw, I guess, Rand broke Ishi's seal at the end of season 1. That's how Ishi escapes. And at the end of this season, Ishi breaks all of these seals, and that's how all of them escape. It's very different from the books. In the books, the seals are literally just, like, I don't know, parts of the Dark One's prison. And when they are broken, the Dark One can escape. They have nothing to do specifically with the Forsaken. The Forsaken are just somehow bound there, and as the seals begin to break, they free, but they are not tied to one specific seal. So this is very different. I think as far as why this happened, it's pretty simple for non-book readers to understand. Like, okay, that seal broke, so that Forsaken out. That makes perfect sense. It's very simple. This does change something at the end, because at the end of the book series, this is why this is the last one here, so I could save this here. But at the end of the book series, the seals to the Dark One's prison, there are still a few left, and they have to be broken in order for the Dark One to be properly sealed. Like, he can't have a man-made seal. He has to have a seal that I guess is made by the creator or whatever, and the creators have been waiting for humans to break their seals so that he can fix it. I guess. I don't know. I don't know. But whatever. They have to break the seals. So that is not going to be part of the story, I guess, because all of the seals are already broken. That's a big difference. To be perfectly honest, like, it's weird how I'm very weird about this. I am still fixated on the fact that they refer to Luz Theron as the Dragon Reborn instead of the dragon, because that just bothers me. I don't know why. They could just call him the dragon. Rand is the Dragon Reborn. This idea is that the world is supposed to, at a certain point, forget that there was a dragon. And I don't know why, but it really, really bothers me that they do that. No, it makes no difference to the story. I don't like that change. It is just... this is also a change to, like, the deep lore, the deep canon, like the deep magic of the world. And yet I don't really care about it. I should probably, like, intellectually, I should probably put this on reserving judgment because it does have an impact on things that would happen later. And yet I don't think the things that might happen later with the seals are necessary to the story. Like, they are good in the story. I don't mean that they're bad in the story. I feel like they are not necessarily load bearing. You could remove the seals. I get the necessity to break the seals from the story, and it doesn't. To me, the story doesn't collapse without it. So I am putting this one here in neutral. So yeah, this is my tier list. Let me go through and organize things. I literally didn't hate this change. There were no changes on my list that I hated. And as far as no difference negative, I guess that's probably anything that would have been no difference negative probably ended up in understand but don't like. So this is my most negative one, and there's only 4 there. Amazing changes. Which one would be my top amazing change? Oh, I don't know. Okay, so I'm just looking here at these here. Oh, they're so close to each other. I don't know which one I think is top. Like, Nynaeve's test is so good, but so is Ryma. Ryma is so good. And the Damane, like, episode 6 is just such a good... I don't know. I really don't know. Wow. Phew. As far as I'm not even going to try. As far as Min, good change, I think Min and Avienda, I think I would put at the top. Just because okay, I'm going to do it then. I'm going to move them up to the top. I really like the idea of us getting to know both of them outside of Rand, especially Min. Like, we do spend time with Min outside of Rand. Don't get me, like, that does happen in the books. We spend a lot of time with Min outside of Rand, especially in book 4. But there's also a lot in her mind. Like, when you're in her mind about her having done this because of Rand. Like, she went to the tower because she became a fool for a man. There's a lot of her thinking, oh, should I wear these clothes because maybe Rand would like me in these clothes and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of Rand in her head, even though we see a lot of her without Rand. I like getting to know these characters without Rand really even being a part of their story. I like that. I think that's it. I don't think I'm going to move anything else on here for now, but I think that's it. I think this is my ranking. Amazing change. The Darkfed Social probably should go down here to good, but I just think that was such an excellent adaptation of that scene. So that's why it's up in amazing. It's not like a mind-blowing, it's just such a good one. Good, I would say, goes from good to fine. Which one should probably be fine? No Blade Master probably is fine. Moiraine Shielded, I would say fine by this point, and Moiraine Lan point. Okay, that one. That's how that's gonna go. Elias Huron, also fine. That's where that is. This is my tier list. I know that there are lots of people out there who absolutely hate the show, and they think that it's impossible for book fans to like the show. I love the books. As I said in season 1, when I made my tier list, and I didn't even think about this ahead of time. Season 1, I ended up having to film that one twice because I completely messed up the recording. Fingers crossed I didn't do it this time. But I did not think about this really beforehand, and look how this ended up. It's very, very top heavy because I like most of the changes. This doesn't mean I don't like the books. It means that the adaptation is making changes that to me make sense for the medium. They make sense for the time that we are now telling the same story. It makes sense just for condensing the story and making it more understandable for people who do not have time to read a 15-book series. That's why. This is how I, as somebody who loves these books with all of my heart, can still love the show. All right, there you have it. Those are my rankings. And like I said, it is entirely subjective. I am curious to know where you would place things on here. And I do know that there are things that I missed that did not end up on here that I literally thought of while I was recording. A couple I thought of while editing. I was like, there's always going to be extra thoughts. Damn it. So, yeah. Let me know what you would add to this list that I missed and where you would put it. What other categories? Because I know in this particular part, I started thinking, I wish I'd put anticipated on here, or anticipating, because that is something that's a different feeling to me than the reserving judgment feeling. But I hadn't put it on there because I literally didn't think of, last year, as I talked about it with the tier list, I ended up having to record it twice because I messed up the recording. This time I was going in pretty much blind. So yeah, I was guessing at what the rankings were, and then when I was actually doing the tier list, I was like, damn it. So what other categories would you put on there? Let me know. That could help me maybe for next season to make a more appropriate tier list for this sort of thing? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my content, you want to support me, I do have a Patreon. It is also linked in the description below. Thank you so much to my patrons. I could not do this without you, so thank you so much. And with that, I am gonna end this here. So please like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.